What happened here certainly had the potential to be much worse. Let's watch this video together and you will see this Chinese warship colliding. But China has had a constant presence there for years. That's according to the Asia Maritime Transparency issue. Coast Guard ship, as you mentioned, they were chasing some boats from the Philippines. The Coast Guard ship, the Chinese Coast Guard ship, was so damaged it...
Two steel giants drift closer, hull to hull. Chinese warships broadcast a chilling message: leave immediately or face consequences. The British commanders refuse to alter course. For minutes, the South China Sea transforms into a knife-edge standoff where one wrong turn could ignite a global firestorm. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Why did these ships risk collision instead of yielding? And what does this near miss reveal about the future of the world's most contested waterway? Stay with this story to see how tactical decisions in tense waters could reshape the balance of power across the Indo-Pacific.
Right, new release footage shows a Chinese Coast Guard vessel crashing into one of its own warships.
It is important to stress that things could have worse because both of these nations claim rights to this waterway. Yeah, hi, John. I will tell you this. Anyone who lives in this part of the world, we all know that the South China Sea is a very volatile part of real estate and...
Two steel ships closing gap, steel on steel, inches from sparking fire on the water. One wrong turn and the ocean becomes battlefield. Why did neither side back down? That's what we're about to break down. When the British squadron cut into waters claimed by Beijing, the sense of purpose was direct. It wasn't about flag waving or intimidation, it was framed as a freedom of navigation move, a test of international rights. Two gray hulls sliding across contested sea lanes, broadcasting not power, but principle. Yet in those waters, principle meets patrol craft, and ideals collide with reality. From the moment the British vessels steamed in, People's Liberation Army Navy units matched them stride for stride. Shadowing, tracking, holding within dangerously tight range. Over loudspeakers came monotonous yet sharp orders: leave these waters at once, or face the outcome.
What happened here certainly had the potential to be much worse. Let's watch this video together and you will see this Chinese warship colliding. But China has had a constant presence there for years. That's according to the Asia Maritime Transparency issue. Coast Guard ship, as you mentioned, they were chasing some boats from the Philippines. The Coast Guard ship, the Chinese Coast Guard ship, was so damaged it...
The words carried more weight than gun barrels because every sailor aboard knew that one reckless action could escalate beyond anyone's control. Picture the decks. Radar scopes glowing bright, echoes pulsing faster as targets narrowed. The deep groan of engines straining against sudden course corrections rippled through bulkheads. On the bridge, sailors stood still, fists tightening on railings. At any moment, their warship could scrape a rival's hull, and steel grinding steel would mean something more than damage.
Wow, and as you can see there, the water is very choppy. At the time of this whole incident, they were being chased at a high rate of speed when this happened. There were some pictures, you saw a water cannon.
It would mean history breaking open. Radio chatter stabbed through the tension. The warning came blunt: leave immediately or face consequences. The voice was sharp, clipped, without hesitation, and its echo left no doubt. You could almost hear the pause across comms, a silence as officers weighed the immediate choices: continue or cave. And still, no one pulled back. The maneuvers became deliberate, like chess played at 20 knots. Chinese commanders set angles across bowlines, funneling paths in a way that drew the British into tighter lanes. British hulls responded with countermoves, turning broadside, showing they wouldn't yield. The sea narrowed though nothing had changed except wills, decisions, the thin line between control and chaos. And yet, neither side broke formation. This wasn't about raw firepower. It was about messaging. Chinese media soon pointed to the moment as proof of defending sovereignty, a stand against intrusion. Meanwhile, British officers maintained the course was lawful, carried an open sea space that belongs to all nations.
3 Chinese Coast Guard members were actually on the bow of the boat when the impact happened. I think you can see that in the video. According to an official, a high-ranking officer from the Philippine Coast Guard, they claim that they were trying to get to some aid. China is not calling this a collision. In fact, its military officials are not even using that word.
The same event, 2 stories, each told to signal strength back home. When 2 naval units cut so close, the risk doesn't come only from weapons. Experts warn that ramming is as lethal as missiles when large warships collide. Hydrodynamics make ships pull toward each other when too near, like magnets unwilling to let go. A single misjudgment of rudder or throttle could shear plates, flood compartments, or worse, spark live ammunition housed within. No admiral needs to press a red button for war to start. All it takes is steel brushing steel. This encounter turned into a real-time exam of international law, played out not in court, but hull to hull, meter by meter. Each side risked disaster because each refused to let the other dictate terms. To the crews on deck, it wasn't abstract geopolitics. It was looming impact, resonance humming through steel frames, lives hanging on orders barked across radios. So, what mattered more in that instant, holding your line for principle, or yielding to avoid war? That question cut deeper than sonar. It's the same question you face now. If you stood in that bridge, radar screen burning red, hostile hull closing fast, what would you do? Would you risk collision to defend rights, or adjust course to protect peace? Comment your choice below. Because in the end, this wasn't just ships shadowing ships. It was the world's rules clashing against national will, each side staring across steel decks and asking, who turns first? One order over radio. One shift of a rudder. That was all it took to decide if steel would meet steel or if silence would hold the line. The South China Sea clash showed how fragile the balance remains, not just for sailors but for global trade routes that keep markets alive. Modern naval wars rarely open with thunder. They spark with inches of hull, with warnings over static-filled channels, with choices made under red-lit bridges. This is the reality of near war today. Subscribe and join a community that seeks to understand the realities of modern conflict.